Into her third summer back home. She is loving being a member of the weekly hiking group. She has recently climbed Saddle Rock and last week Sour Mountain. Here to tell us more is Lynn.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow members, a terrible murder occurred in Laramie, Wyoming in 1998. It was savage, it was brutal, it was uncalled for. Matthew Shepard, a declared gay, was brutally murdered by two men about his age. They'd gone to a bar that night. It was not a gay bar. They somehow ended up together. We don't know how or why. But these men attempted to rob him. He resisted, and he was pistol whipped with a .357 Magnum. They shoved him in their rig, drove him about a mile out of the country, continued to beat on his head with this Magnum, tied him to a fence post, and left. He was discovered 18 hours later by a bicyclist who went by. The doctors could not operate. His brain was or his head was so fractured, the backside of his head, his brain was so swollen that his brain stem was practically non-functional. It was a brutal, brutal crime. These two murderers were sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. Hate law crimes existed. Hate crime laws existed at that time, but they really didn't include the sexual aspect. And shortly after that, although it took a long time for this particular law to get passed, those things were added into the law, and it became known as the Matthew Shepard Law or the Matthew Shepard Act, Public Law 111-40-84. It shocked Wyoming. It shocked the university. It was a shameful, horrid thing to inflict on anyone. The schools got involved in a way in this because they decided that they really did need to do something about it. There is a school survey that is a school climate survey that is set out periodically. I don't know exactly what the schedule of that is, but the one in 2011 was disastrous as far as the results. Declared gay people stated that 80% of them had been harassed and bullied in ways. 66% of them had experienced something like that. 55% of them had been cyberbullied. 40% had experienced pushing and shoving. And 20% had actually experienced hands-on kind of dangerous things, being hit sometimes with a weapon. Very, very savage kinds of things. What the schools decided to do was to see if they could manage something out of that, rather than letting it just simply continue to proliferate. This is a topic that people are very sensitive to, very uncomfortable with, but it exists. It does exist. The terms letters I should say, LGBT, are used very frequently now, standing for L, lesbian, G, gay, B, bisexual, T, transgender, LGBT. It's something that is in the society now, talked about whether we like it or not. This is a reality. It is a reality. And it's something we need to tune into. What the schools have tried to do is figure out, as I said, what to do about this. What can we do with students to get rid of this prejudice, this bias, this hate that seems to be proliferating. There was a symposium that was convened last October, and what they decided was that they should try an inclusive curriculum. And that is a curriculum that includes people who are behind the subject matter, who produced or wrote the subject matter that's being used in the classroom, and to use them or hold them up, so to speak, as examples, not necessarily to tout that, oh, this person was a lesbian, you all need to know that, isn't this a wonderful thing this person did? But to hold up or identify people who have contributed so that they might inspire those students who have such low self-esteem. One of the things to come out of all the bullying that went on and goes on is that those students avoid going to school because it's dangerous. They have rock bottom self-esteem. They have rocketing tenseness and fear. They are, can you imagine living like that? It's just a horrid way to live. It should not be inflicted on anyone, They came up with this inclusive curriculum that includes those who created the content, as I said, who themselves were perhaps, well, actually declared LGBT or T. Now, the positive thing out of that is that those people become role models for students who are LGBT. Not that this is a sexuality that we need to follow and so forth, but that LGBT people are creative people, they're bright people, they contribute, and that's something to focus on, that they can be heroes in terms of what they accomplish. Something that I believe very firmly, very deeply, is that if they continue with this inclusive curriculum, it will continue getting better. It can't get any worse than it is. Something I also believe very deeply is that those of us who were born straight have no right to deny our freedoms to those who were born, to those of us who were born gay. Have no right to do that. It's all about truths and being honest. And I don't think it was said any better than, we hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How dare we deny anyone those liberties?